I'm going to read a chapter from the middle of the book. In some ways, it's not the it's kind of the emotional climax of the book. It's not the climax of what's actually happening. My book, Now You Say Yes, which just came out earlier this fall. So in this book, there's a girl named Mari, and she's 15 years old, and she's driving across the country with her younger brother, Connor, who's on the spectrum, and they don't know what's going to happen to them, and they've gotten to the place where they're going to watch the eclipse. This book takes place in 2017 in August, and they're all Connor wants to do is see the eclipse. He's very focused on this. He knows how many miles it's been, and they get there and they're on their own. She's 15, he's 9, and they they get to a rest area in the middle of I think it's Route 46, 48 on interstate in going through Missouri, and so they're right in the path of totality, and they get to a rest area. There's a big rest area right in between the highways, and there's a couple hundred other people who have come there to see. All these people from all over the country have come to this one place to see this eclipse, and they make room for this family from Texas, who doesn't. They get there late, and Connor and Mari have been there forever. And Mari says, "You can sit here with us." So they're sharing their blanket with these 5 other people, and we're right at the point where the eclipse is about to happen. I think that's all you might need to know, but you're going to hear right away a reference to Boston. And if you know the history of the Red Sox, when in the first paragraph, you're going to know who I'm talking about when we get there. So this is from Now You Say Yes. Almost everyone at the rest area is on their feet, chanting, clapping, hooting, whistling. It's just like that baseball game Mari saw in Boston. She remembers that the game had been dragging on forever and she was bored. Then someone got a hit, and someone walked, and suddenly the whole stadium stood up. Everyone knew something amazing was about to happen. When the next batter hit the ball off the outfield wall, the crowd exploded. Reaching second base, the batter thumped his chest and pointed a finger up at the sky that held the sun and the moon and all the stars in the universe. And everyone knows it now. This is the moment, bigger than any baseball game, because it includes everyone, the wide swath of humanity in the path of totality and for miles and miles beyond it. The earth knows it too. As the eclipse gets closer and closer to totality, a wind picks up and blows across the trees, rustling their leaves and sweeping their branches back and forth. Then things begin to fall quiet. People stop yelling and raise their heads, waiting, and so does Mari. A mockingbird calls out from the middle of a nearby tree, cackling, then whistling, the only bird making a sound. There's an eerie grayness to everything. Mari feels like she's in a movie. Everything seems strange and provisional, temporary. This will only last a short time, but right now it is everything. Each branch or leaf or person or bird call is part of it. Mari puts her glasses back on and looks up. A sliver of sun, the eclipse glasses, right? You can't see anything out of them. A sliver of sun glows around the edge of the darkness. Almost, almost, a voice calls out. Someone whistles. And then the light blinks out, as quietly as that. Before there is any other sound, she hears Connor, her brother, murmur to himself, "Totality." Just after Connor speaks, everyone starts to yell and cheer. Someone blows on one of those plastic horns they use at soccer games. A person at the top of the hill beats a slow rhythm on a drum. It gets darker. The change is not something she sees, since she's got her eclipse glasses on, but something that she feels. Mari looks down and lifts her glasses for a moment. Everyone is frozen in their places, looking up at the dark hole in the sky. She wants to hug Connor. She reaches out for his shoulder and touches it with the tips of her fingers. He shrugs them off, of course. Then she feels a hand on her shoulder. She turns to find Melody, this is the mom in the family, there in the darkness, surrounded by her family. Gabby hugs her leg, and Ariella holds her hand. Marco is kneeling, his arms wrapped around Robbie. Gabby, still holding onto Melody's hand, reaches out to touch her father's massive forearm. Mari wishes her mom were here to experience this, to see Connor and all his magnificent quirkiness, to put her arms around both of her kids. And so Mari reaches out once again to Connor and puts her hand gently on his shoulder. When he flinches, she presses a little more firmly, hoping the pressure will calm him, like the security of the dog crate around his being. When Connor would get upset, he would climb into this dog crate they had, which was very upsetting to everybody but Connor. It works. The two of them are touching, and they're connected to this family that showed up from Texas to share their blanket. In that moment of touching, a wave of belonging washes over Mari, but it doesn't last. There comes a wave of not belonging, of knowing she is different from them and doesn't belong to them. Her life is somehow broken, and she doesn't see how it's possibly ever going to be mended. She knows there's a good chance she's going to show up in Lynn, Massachusetts, and the door is going to be closed to her. Then what will she do? A sudden and brilliant explosion of light makes Mari jump. Through her dark glasses, she sees a small speck of sun, the tiniest sliver, peek out from behind the dark moon. It bursts across the heavens, showering everybody there in its shining. A bright, gleaming light that promises something beyond all promising. "Oh my God," Marco whispers. Mari feels a giant intake of breath. Everyone, not just this family, but the entire planet, or at least everyone along the path of totality, gasps. Then she hears a collective sigh, a breathing in and out of like one being. She lowers her head and takes off her glasses, and what she sees around her is as astonishing as what is happening above. She sees everyone looking up, their mouths open, but she sees beyond that. She sees their pudgy knees and their wheelchairs and their skinniness and their grasping and their wanting and their desperation to fit in. She sees the group of teenage girls peering upward, their neediness and cliquishness forgotten for the moment. She sees that everyone is broken, not all broken in the same way, but in myriad different ways. They may try to hide it, but they are. Mari is broken too. She's lost her mom. She gets mad too easily. She has a bad mouth. Some people look at her funny because she's a foster kid, or because she's adopted, or just because she is who she is. She's not alone. It's the hiding of the brokenness that keeps everyone alone. She belongs to all of this. It's being broken that makes her part of it, part of being alive. People laugh and hug one another, disregarding differences and seeing sameness. Birds start calling like it's morning. A breeze riffles across the grass and through the crowd. Connor stands there, staring at the vanishing eclipse. Mari puts her glasses on again and watches the sun come back. The moon passes on by, inching ahead of her brighter sibling. "Goodbye," Mari whispers to herself. There you go.